This week, Jarrett Rodrick and Tyler Wall are with us to discuss their book, Jumpstart Your SOC Analyst Career. Then Richard Hollis, CEO of Risk Crew, joins us to talk about what's wrong with the cybersecurity industry. And somehow I've got to keep the interview under 30 minutes. Finally, in the enterprise security news, Threat Connect acquires Polarity. Expo and Sola Security are interesting new companies we'll discuss. What does shared responsibility actually mean? Palo Alto probably isn't going to buy your startup. Snowflake related breaches continue getting worse. Much less AI talk than usual. You're welcome. And defragmenting your browser. All that and more on this episode of Enterprise Security Weekly.
This is a Security Weekly production for security professionals by security professionals. Please visit securityweekly.com/subscribe to subscribe to all the shows on our network.
It's the show where we talk security vendors and aren't afraid to name names. It's Enterprise Security Weekly. Graylog elevates enterprise-level cybersecurity through its comprehensive SIEM, centralized log management, and API security solutions. Built on the Graylog platform, Graylog Security combines SIEM, security analytics, threat detection, and incident response capabilities. Unlike traditional SIEMs, which offer complex and costly setups, Graylog Security simplifies security and operational challenges with an optimal blend of licensing, people, and infrastructure costs. To see a demo, visit securityweekly.com/Graylog. Welcome to Enterprise Security Weekly and happy National Caviar Day. This is episode 368, recorded on Thursday, June 18th, 2024. I'm your host, Adrian Sanabria, and joining me is the Admiral of ASPM, the Captain of Content, the Governor of Gus the Cat, Katie Teitler-Santullo. How you doing, Katie?
I am well. Are you feeling fancy today with the National Caviar Day?
I was trying to think. I was like, have I ever even had caviar? And I remembered there's this brewery we go play trivia on Tuesdays. And one of the members just like travels the world. Like, I don't know how he funds any of this stuff, but he was in Spain and he brought some caviar back and he,
Oh,
shared it with us. So I think that's the only time I've actually had caviar,
okay.
is just sitting on a picnic bench outside a brewery.
As one does, eating
Yep.
caviar on a picnic bench outside. Sure, why not?
Do you have caviar in your pantry?
I do not, but I do not have a lot in my pantry, so that's not really saying much, especially Thursday. Sunday, pretty good, and then through the week it just dwindles on down.
Sunday's
Well,
caviar
so
day.
yeah,
That's it.
Sunday I
It
just
just
buy
gets
all the different kinds of caviar. If you ask me about what kinds they are, there are too many. I just can't name them.
yeah, it's just a smorgasbord of caviar.
Exactly.
All right. Speaking of caviar, you're invited to InfoSec World 2024 at Disney's Coronado Springs Resort in Lake Buena Vista, Florida, from September 23rd through 25th. Join top cybersecurity experts for this premier event. Save 25% on your pass by using code ISW24-SW25 when you register at securityweekly.com/InfoSec World 2024. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity. All right, and for today's topic, we're talking about breaking into cybersecurity, a topic so common and ubiquitous that I think breaking into security is probably the name of at least one podcast, newsletter, and book, if not half a dozen. We're excited to have Jarrett Rodrick, Senior Manager of SecOps at Omnissa, with us today. Welcome, Jarrett. How are you?
I am outstanding. How are y'all?
Great. Is it Omnissa? Is
I say Omnissa. Sometimes it's Omnissa. I say Omnissa.
okay. Okay. All right. And also with us is Tyler Wall, CEO at CyberNow Education. How are you, Tyler?
Doing great. Thanks, Adrian.
It's great to have you both here. This is just such a common topic these days. And you guys have actually had a book out for a number of years. And I understand today we are talking about a new update to that book. So, I'm curious what I kind of want to hit first here before we dive into the updated book. How'd this book come about? Tyler, how did you and Jarrett connect and where did the idea for this book come from?
Yeah, so I was kind of looking for a side hustle one day a few years ago, and I was on the Dave Ramsey plan, and I
Yeah.
was going through my baby steps, and I was gazelle intent, so I wanted to get a side hustle, And so I was scrolling through the internet looking for all these things I could do, and I came across an ebook, and it just struck me. Well, at the time I was in kind of an entry level position, and as a SOC analyst, I was like, oh, I could help people get started in information security, and then all the jump through all the hoops and email publishers and get the information back, and they're like, hey, we're interested in your book, and then I realized, well, there's not much money in them writing books, so I decided I was going to continue writing it to kind of give back to the community that gave to me. A lot of people helped me out when I was getting started in cybersecurity, so I wanted to kind of give back what I could too. And at the time, I was working with VMware with Jarrett, and I approached him and asked him if he wanted to write the book with me, and he's like, yeah. He comes from a veteran background, and he wanted to help out the vets, and so we got together, put our heads together, and wrote the first edition.
I think we all appreciate you going in to write the book rather than driving Uber for that side hustle. Definitely a lot more in it for the rest of the community, so we appreciate that. And,
Yeah.
and Jarrett, what was your thinking as you got pulled into this? You were still fairly new to the industry at that point. You had made a transition from the military over into cyber.
Yeah, so I saw it as an opportunity to share my story, transition story from retiring from U.S. Army Cyber Command in 2019. One, it was a COVID project, right? We wrote the book and we started in 2020. I saw it as an opportunity for sharing, showing veterans how easy it can be. It was a nervous time for me, transitioning out of the military and looking for a job. And I knew a bunch of colleagues and coworkers who were making that transition at the same time. So I wanted to, return to or give back to that community and show them it's not as difficult as it might feel.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's great. I mean, that is definitely a clear path, especially if you're doing cyber in the military, you're transitioning from public service over into the private industry. Um, and it's I've had several mentees, none transitioning over from the military, but one transitioning over from law enforcement, where they had kind of a career-ending injury and had to uh,
Mhm.
phase out of law enforcement and find another career, right? And that gentleman's looking at DFIR at this point, because it is pretty close to some stuff that he did as a law enforcement officer. Uh, so yeah, it's lots of different paths in. Like, how did you approach writing this book? What was the let me ask first, what was the reception to the first book, and why the update, right? Tyler?
Well, yeah. I didn't know if Jarrett wanted to answer that or not, but
I
yeah,
left it open. Sorry.
yeah, the reception of the first book, it was good. It was the first edition was a bit smaller than the second. In the second edition, we added 3 new chapters, and we updated refreshed all the data because it had been a few years since we wrote the first edition, and we added some new sock stories. At the end of the book are a collection of 6 different stories from just real SOC analysts who have recently traversed the path, and we wanted them they wanted to contribute to the book and tell their stories, so we allowed them to do that, and it makes a great addition to the book. So the second edition is a bit bigger than the first edition, but the reception to the first edition, it was good. I mean, we got a good feedback from the community. It wasn't as popular as we had hoped or anything, but definitely the second edition has a lot more traction since we've published it just a month ago.
I think part of that was it was leaked day one. Unfortunately, as many things happen, as many things are leaked day one, it did get exposed, and I think that did hurt the overall sales of the
Yeah.
book. But
Turned into a
um,
PDF and showed up on some
yeah,
site. Yeah.
day one, the day we released the book, the PDF was found online. So that was, that hurt the sales of it. That was unfortunate. It definitely was a blow to me and me. I'm sure it was for Tyler as well. As far as reception, I remember seeing as late as about a year ago, seeing a GitHub page where someone was recommending books to new analysts or new people looking to jump into the field of cybersecurity, and our book was on that page, and just
That's gotta
randomly.
feel good.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it did for sure. And just I think we did have a good reception for the book.
We did, yeah. Let's Defend, the company Let's Defend, they recommended it on one of their lists of books too that they were recommending to people, and that was really encouraging for us. And
Yeah.
but certainly the second edition is kind of like a fireball right now. Everybody's requesting it, everybody's buying it,
Mhm.
and we couldn't be more ecstatic. That is we've gotten all the good feedback we've gotten from it.
Yeah, it's interesting on Springer's website, you can actually see the number of times each of the editions of the book have been accessed, which is and I found it interesting. You can rent it from them as well, if you don't just want to buy it. So, and also you can get it in EPUB format, which is great. A lot of books like I do have the Kindle app on my iPad, but I prefer using my Remarkable tablet, because then I can scribble on it. I can make notes as I read through a book, and yeah, I can't do that with the Kindle format. So it's nice you can get that from Springer in I think EPUB and PDF formats.
Yeah, they'll let you download it too. You can download the PDF or EPUB and
Yeah,
take it with you. You can also buy it on Amazon. If you buy it from Amazon, no matter where you get the book from, if you could drop a Amazon review for it, that'd be fantastic for us to get the word out. But you can also buy it from Walmart and Barnes and Noble. You can buy it from
oh, that's
pretty
great.
much anywhere books are sold.
Yeah, I've bought it for a few of my mentees when the first version came out. Because I was Jarrett came on and talked about that. That was before I was the main host of the podcast when Paul Asadorian was still the main host, and yeah, I've gotten good feedback from my mentees on it. But yeah, so you mentioned three new chapters. What are those three new chapters?
So one is the SOC analyst method, which is a five-step security analysis method. And we kind of walk you through how to do a security analysis on, say you get an event from in the SOC from the SIM or something, and how to conduct a security analysis step by step through that life cycle. Then one is Chat GPT for SOC analysts. So we kind of walk through some examples and explain, what to do and what not to do with Chat GPT, for
Very
and how
timely.
it can be used. Yeah, yeah, and how,
Yeah.
and how it can be used
Good
as a
timing.
as a SOC analyst.
It was good timing. I definitely wanted to add more into LLMs there, as it is very, like you said, it is good timing. However, I don't think deep diving into LLMs would have been a good idea for this book, as it is an entry level book. It is trying to break
Yeah.
into cybersecurity, and I think any junior analyst or anyone trying to break into cybersecurity, their first intro to LLMs would be ChatGPT and how it could be used to aid in an investigation. But we definitely covered the gotchas of what could happen if you use ChatGPT to aid an investigation. You're basically giving that information to OpenAI when you do that, so you have to be careful with that.
So doing an analysis, introduction to ChatGPT. What was the third new chapter?
The third one is Roadmap to Cybersecurity Success. So the book has kind of targets four different backgrounds. One is people transitioning to cybersecurity from as a veteran or from the active military. One is transitioning from other areas of IT. Say they worked as a desktop support technician or something. And the third area is self-taught. So if they are self-taught and decided to come into cybersecurity, and the fourth is background is as a college graduate. And so those are the kind of four backgrounds that we target in this chapter, and to give specific advice for how to start their career in cybersecurity, directly targeted to those four backgrounds. Each one individually.
Okay, yeah, got to have that home lab.
Yeah.
Really helps to get some hands
Yes.
on before you get in. Katie, you're looking like you've had a question for the last 10
I
minutes.
I have. I
Well, like,
actually have two questions, but we'll start with this one. So it's been a little bit since the first edition. I'm curious what the two of you learned since the first edition came out, either about writing a book and sharing your knowledge or about the industry, because it's certainly gone through some ups and downs in the last few years.
I'll go first. Yeah, I'll go first in this one. So, um, a lot's changed from in my career from when I wrote the book, the first edition to the second. So when I wrote the first edition, I was a senior analyst and the team lead at VMware. Since then, VMware was purchased by Broadcom, and I at that time I was the senior manager of the US SOC. Now it's the spinoff of Omnissa, which was one of the business units of VMware in user computing, purchased by KKR. Literally July 1st was the birth of our company. I think that the industry today is so volatile that it's difficult for people to break into this industry. And I think a book like this is not necessarily the silver bullet that we thought it was when we first wrote the first book, right? It's definitely a leg up. It's definitely a starting point, and I think it's going to still help people. But when we wrote the first book, the job market was so different. You could find a job. You couldn't hit a golf ball while hitting a job opening somewhere. Right?
Yeah.
Now there's so many, the supply and demand for there's such a supply of people who are looking for jobs, and the demand is just there's not enough open positions for them. That's the thing I would say that I've learned since that time.
And in addition to that, so Adrian and I were talking in a different format about getting into cybersecurity and how it's really hard to get an entry-level job without any experience, and how so many companies are looking for somebody with that 3 to 5 year experience, but maybe the SOC isn't the right place to start. It might be too hectic, too chaotic, too scary. What are, I don't want to give away the whole book, obviously, but what are some of the little tidbits of information for somebody who is, for instance, coming out of a program, either undergrad or grad program, to get in?
Sure. It's easy for me to kick back and say the military, but not everyone's cut out for the military, obviously. The military is a great path into cybersecurity. They're always looking for talent.
So why? Let's dig into that a little, because I
Sure.
feel like
How many
some
SANS courses
veterans.
did they pay for?
Right, exactly.
That's a good point. However, the training is no longer SANS. I will say that. So when I went through, I did 7
Those
SANS
ain't cheap.
courses in 14 weeks. That's what my training was. It was a fire hose. I'm not gonna lie, it was rough. But they don't do that. That's not the training anymore. Now it's definitely more Army focused training, but it's the same curriculum. It's not professional certifications. They do still have SANS certifications that they do along your career path, but it's not the entry level anymore. That said, however, it's still great knowledge. It's still great experience, and you're still going to come out with that knowledge and experience that you're gaining. You're not coming out as entry level.
So you're really hop, skipping, and jumping a few levels with that
I think so.
advantage.
I think so, and you come out with the benefits of being a veteran. You get that college benefit, Montgomery GI Bill, post 9/11 GI Bill, stuff like that. Again, though, we're talking about it's 2024. Who knows what the political landscape is going to look like in the coming years? So it's the military. Let's be honest. So there's that aspect of it. I would say for the college grads side of the house, there's a couple paths, right? There's obviously the path up through the IT help desk. A lot of people make that jump up through. They start off at the low level IT help desk. Maybe they work their way up through IT engineering, whether it's security engineering or security architecture, and then they make the jump over to security operations, whether it's SOC or whether it might be auditing, it might be security, might be the compliance team, and then they make the jump into security operations. We've seen that as well. And then there's the potential for jumping into contracting, right? That maybe that's where they get their experience. A lot of people want to look at that full-time job as being the goal, and that's great. That's where you want to be. The full-time job at X company is where all the benefits are, is where the money is. But again, it's kind of like a meme on LinkedIn. You can see entry-level position at X company, but you need 3 to 5 years experience for an entry-level position, which makes absolutely no sense. But you know, a good place to go is an MSSP or a contract position somewhere to gain that 3 to 5 years experience. Benefits aren't there. It doesn't necessarily have the pay that you're looking for in the cybersecurity realm, but that's sort of paying your dues, right? You're paying your dues into the field to get to that position, and we talk about in the book, cybersecurity is a career like any other career. You get out what you put into it. I talk about with my mentees and my team how when I joined cybersecurity in the Army, my very first week was go install VMware Workstation 10 and go deploy Kali Linux over and over and over again and go learn. That was my intro to cybersecurity, and I basically just did that over and over and over again for months until I started my class in in 25 Delta course is what it was in the Army. But that hands-on experience is what I kept doing during my time in the Army and then past the Army. And that's why I try to instill in all my employees and all my mentees is you have to continue to teach yourself. It's not, you can't just rest on your laurels and your education that's enough. Doctors don't do it. Lawyers don't do it. Why do you think we can do it?
So I think also, if you're graduating with a college degree, to kind of stand out from the rest of your peers, you really have to show passion. You have to you can't just be a consumer of information. You got to try to contribute. Make blogs, get involved into the community, these online discords, and join local groups like DEF CON groups and 2600 and things of that nature. And really just you want to really exuberate passion through your resume and through your work and because that's what's going to make you stand out. That's you want to get involved and contribute what you can. A lot of people think they can't contribute because they don't know much or they're entry level. Well, you can get on Medium and start a blog and talk about your experience of finding a job. Just tell your personal story about how you're finding a job, whether you're having success or not having success. Any tutorials, right? How to's about things that you're learning and the labs that you've set up, and explain everything and put that on your resume. Put your blog on your resume. Let them know that you're active in the community, active, and you're blogging, you're contributing. That you're passionate about this. It means something to you.
Yeah, it's I think I was 8 years into my career before I had a mentor convince me to get on social media. Back then, Twitter was where all the security folks were,
Yeah.
and get involved in the community. I'd never been to a security conference before, so yeah, it wasn't until 8 9 years into my career that I really started getting into stuff like that. And now, just a couple months ago, did the 10th B-sides Knoxville. So
Nice.
I went from nothing to now I've got an entire decade of B-sides conferences that I've helped organize under my belt.
That's
So
awesome.
it's been I started the DEF CON group in Knoxville, and it was a pretty small community, but we had Oak Ridge National Labs there, and UT, the main campus for University of Tennessee is there, and there's a good number of like mid-sized companies headquartered there. So there was a community to bring together, and that's the only community in East Tennessee. There's nothing in Chattanooga really. There's a DEF CON group, but that's about it, and nothing in Johnson City or Bristol. So we get a lot of people that come together. A bunch of people come out from Nashville, even though Nashville's got its own pretty healthy community. So yeah, there's lots of opportunities to still start those kinds of things, and to get involved with them.
Yeah, it just makes you look different in a positive way from your peers. When you're
Right.
involved and everything.
Among the 200 plus resumes
Right.
people are going to be looking at, right? Like he needs something to stand out. Yeah.
Hmm.
And that now you guys have cybersecurity book on that list for yourself. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
got to look pretty good, right?
Yeah. Hope so. Hope so. Hopefully we continue getting great reception from the community about it.
It did just receive an award, so we're happy to hear about that.
That's nice. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I like that you didn't that the book wasn't a finish line for you, right? Like you're out here okay, how can we make this better? How can we add content to this? Taking feedback from people and improving it. Because I think a lot of people like write a book as a bucket list item, and once they're done, like they never think about doing anything with the book again. But your goal wasn't necessarily just a book; it was to help. And if your goal is to help, then that's not the finish line, right? You keep going, you keep seeing what else you can do.
No, and as Jarrett said, the job market and the industry's just changed so much in the past few years that
Yeah.
we had to do this. You know.
And 100% of the credit goes to Tyler. I'll be honest with you. He had to talk me into it. A lot of things was going on in my career. I was very busy over the last 6 months, and he talked me into coming back and doing it. So he convinced me to come back and revisit the book. We added the 3 chapters, but the one thing I did want to add, we definitely touched up all chapters. And one of the chapters that did get plussed up a lot is our cloud chapter. We added a bunch of content to that one.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, definitely one of those areas where, like I mentioned, a home lab,
Yeah.
all the clouds give you a certain number of hours of free usage time, right?
Yep.
So it's you know, I talk to a lot of my mentees. I'm like, why wouldn't you go there and just, play with all the things and figure out how things work? For me, it was almost compulsive. Like I wanted to do everything. Like I couldn't even choose one thing in security. But it was early on in security, and there weren't that many things to do. So like it was possible to do a little bit of everything back then. These days, I'm not sure that it is.
Well,
But
you never know which. Sorry, cut you off. I apologize. You never know which employer, which cloud provider they're going to use. The fact that you can go get free hours basically with any of them. Why not go learn Azure? Why not go learn GCP, AWS, OCI? You should go learn them all as best you can.
mostly there are equivalents between them,
Yeah,
and I would urge anybody, even if you're experienced with the cloud, to use all three because
you should.
some of them do certain things better. Like
Yeah,
Google's really good about giving you suggestions. Like
yeah,
one of the first things I noticed when I first started using Google Cloud is it was like you have over provisioned a server. You are not using the RAM. You're not using the
It tells
disk.
you
yep,
that. Wow.
Yeah, it does.
yep,
It's like, how about we save you some money and bump you
yep.
down,
That's
from
crazy.
from a medium to a small or to a micro or something like that.
Right.
And I was like, that, thank you. Like
Yeah.
Amazon doesn't do that.
No.
Uh-uh.
Amazon wants you to keep spending those credits. But you're absolutely right, and you should go learn them. And there's even the smaller ones, Linode. You should go learn these as many as you can because again, you might be applying for a job that uses one you've never heard of before. And if you
DigitalOcean.
have hands, exactly. If you've used it, that's just another feather in your cap that you say, oh yes, I've used that one and I have experience with that one.
I've even used Oracle.
Oh.
I could say I have now too.
It's okay. It's fine. They do things very differently.
They
And,
do.
and some things they do is, I mean, just like every cloud, as you play around with each one, they have some innovative things they do that are different from what everybody else does. So it's interesting to see because they sponsor Formula One. One of their explainers. One of their tutorials is based on Formula One data, on Red Bull Formula One data.
Oh,
So
that's
so it's
pretty
actually
cool.
kind of fun
Yeah.
because I happen to be a fan of F1. So to jump in there and see that as a tutorial, I was like, okay, you got me. It's kind of cool. So, one of the things that Katie alluded to earlier that I just kind of wanted to focus on are the different roles that are available for people getting into the industry. And one of the things I've been concerned about is getting into the SOC as an entry level field, because it sounds from the stories I've heard like it can be rough in some cases, and I worry about running people off with their first experience in cybersecurity, and want to make sure people know that's not all there is. Combing through alerts all day isn't the only opportunity here. What do you see in terms of that? Like, is all the examples in your book, are they all SOC related or no? Okay,
Well, for the stories, yes, right. So the book covers how to get into the SOC analyst role, but we talk about other 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 job roles that you'll come across, right? We talk about compliance roles. We talk about the red team or the penetration testers. We talk about the security engineers and the security architects. We talk about the management roles you'll come across. Not necessarily how to get into them, because that's not the purpose of the book. But we talk about what their roles are, what the interactions with the SOC analyst and those roles will be, and potentially how the SOC analysts feed up into those roles. Because the SOC analyst is an entry-level position into cybersecurity. It just is. That's the best way to start in cybersecurity, and that's the best springboard into more senior roles. Pen tester, right. Security engineer, auditor, even if that's your path, right? So we talk about that in the book.
Excellent. And what is the typical tenure before people move on from that role? Is it 1 year, 2 years?
Yeah. At VMware, we weren't necessarily hiring entry level, so we would grab mid career people. So, gotcha. we didn't advertise entry level positions looking for 3 to 5 years experience. Right. We were actually hiring mid career at 3 to 5 years experience, and I would say that we would promote to senior, and they would work as a senior. Or I would say if we hired someone as a junior, it would be 2 to 3 years they'd promote as a senior, and then another 2 to 3 years they can move up to either an engineer or incident responder in our CERT team. Is usually how that worked. If they wanted to go pen tester, they could go pen tester if there was an opening on that side as well.
There's a clear path, right?
Yes, yeah, there were clear paths out to other teams if they wanted it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And Tyler, I did notice I was clicking around looking at some of the jobs. You've got cybernoweducation.com/SOC-analyst-jobs, and we do have that in show notes if you can't remember everything I just blurted out there. Yeah, I like some, like one of them was at a video game company. It was like a SOC analyst at a video game company, and one of the requirements is familiar with video games. I imagine like if you're managing like the community, the forums, if you're doing some kind of content management with the video games, or maybe it's just contextual, just understanding how video games work is necessary to be able to do a good job and tell the difference between normal use and attacks or something like that. So, I love the different dynamics that are there, that I saw in a lot of those job postings that you've got there.
Thanks.
But to that point, the jobs are there. And if you're listening to this and you want to see what some of those jobs look like, you can just hit up that link on cybernoweducation.com and you can go check them out, right?
Yeah, we do a monthly job search. So we kind of do our market research for our own benefit, and we document these jobs we come across when we're doing our market research, and we make them available to the community on our website so that way they can easily, and we kind of extract the data so people can see it in an easy to see way. And it's just true entry level SOC analyst jobs. So jobs that don't require any cybersecurity experience, but may require other IT experience or other experience, and might require degrees, might require certifications, but they don't require any previous cybersecurity experience specifically.
Yeah, you clearly state there degree, yes or no, right?
Yeah. We try to make it easy to see and not waste people's time.
Yeah, you do a good job of it. Looks really good.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Tyler and Jarrett, for joining us on Enterprise Security Weekly today. This is great.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Go buy it.
Yeah,
there it is.
Yeah. There
I actually have I would usually have the book behind me in the background for this, but I split my time between Florida and Knoxville, and it's back in Knoxville. So
I appreciate it, Adrian. Thanks for having us. Katie, nice meeting you.
You too.
Thank you as well. And stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to talk with Richard from Risk Crew about what's wrong with the cybersecurity industry. Okay, real quick chat.